Good evening, Dumela, Salbona, Sakpase, Namaste, Abshin. So this is time number 2. We're going to show and is Laria of Laria's Education and Resource Network, where I plant seeds to help you grow. And tonight we will be chatting with, and a good evening, we'll be chatting with an amazing person who is coming to us out of, hey, good evening, out of Charlotte, North Carolina. You're on the, you're fabulous. And so I would love for you to share this video. This is actually time number 2. I just spent like 10 minutes trying to get this working on my tablet, and then it decides not to work right now. So we're going to move on. We're going to keep this party going. So welcome to my digital couch. This is... Welcome to my digital couch this evening. We are doing like a 2-for-1 during this week because I had so many amazing people. Thank you so much for sharing the video, Miss Phyllis. I had so many amazing people that I wanted to chat with. That wonderful, excellent. I had so many week that I couldn't just do it on Mondays, and so I wanted to make sure that I brought people on at a time that most people would be able to hear them and speak with them and ask questions. And I think we're connecting. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Greetings, greetings. What's up? What's up? Assalamu
Great.
alaikum. All of that. I'm so glad to have
Like,
you here. So, for those people who are on, I need you to do me a big favor, even if you're not going to be able to stay on for the entire time, just share the video or tag people. And once again, tag people in this category or in these categories: parents, grandparents, ministers, community leaders, people in civic organizations, people in social organizations, people trying to raise some boys, people trying to support some boys, people trying to keep boys on the straight and narrow, people trying to get more boys graduating from high school and college. All those folks need, if you're a coach, if you know coaches, this is the conversation that you want for them to pay attention to. Thank you so much. I know I have my people from everywhere. I see some folks from my neighborhood, from my church, from my cultural community, wellness community, spiritual community. I see all of you, and I would love for you to just share this video. So let me jump right on in. You've seen my posts over the past couple of days. You know that I'm doing a back to school series, and I'm going to speak really fast because we kind of lost a couple minutes. You know that I'm doing a back to school series, but my back to school series, actually, good evening, wonderful, is actually about thinking and learning outside the box. And so most of you who know me know that I have 2 sons, and my sons, of course, are very, very precious to me, and precious in more ways than one, not just because I'm a mother of children, but I'm a mother of children of the African diaspora, and I'm a mother of children of the African diaspora who are males. And so a number of years ago, I met this brother who's on here tonight, and he's going to talk about an organization that he has that specifically is geared, organized, coordinated for the purpose of keeping them well, growing them in their communities, and teaching them how to not just give back, but to be producers and not just consumers, to be activists and not having life being acted upon them. So let's meet Baba Reggie Singleton of the Males Place out of North Carolina. Welcome, Baba Reggie Singleton.
thank you, Sister Dorielle. We bring you greetings from the Mills Place, the Mills Place family in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the Mills Place Inc. is a holistic, African-centered, male-centered, non-religious, very prescriptive male developmental program for Black boys 12 to 18. We focus on 3 major areas, and our pillows are mentorship, agriculture, and social justice. And fundamentally, we try to develop our young men to understand their obligations in terms of being problem solvers. And when we examine some of the pathologies and some of the issues in our communities, and certainly while we have a great deal of strengths, we also have some pernicious issues and problems that certainly must be addressed. And I'm reminded of the great Thomas Sankara, who told us that he who feeds you control you. And so self-sufficiency is major for us. We're looking and we are going to great length to intentionally develop and shape our boys to be strong Black men so that they understand feeding oneself and controlling one's local economy and controlling our own food system. Since we're going to eat, we need to certainly move beyond merely being consumers, but to look at being producers, processors, distributors, um, to um, to control our own farmers markets, our own facilities, and we should be able to generate revenue and wealth from our own needs and interests as well.
I am trying to keep calm because as I continue to hear you talking about, again, being producers and not just consumers, to run your own market system, to generate your own wealth right in the soil that you walk on is phenomenal. And you're not only, this is not something, because I already know a little bit about this organization, this is not something that's just, once a month or once a season. This is actually a year-round organization. So can you hop into, for a few moments, when did you get started? Why did you start? And how long during the year, and sort of like what your cycle of education outside of the box, of thinking and learning outside of the box that you take these young men through?
Well, we fundamentally believe that there are a number of important socialization that all boys need to learn. And we draw on some of the time honored teachings and strategies from our ancestors, and believe that the schools as they're constructed is not culturally or educationally capable of instructing our boys on many of the needs that they have. So we are very intentionally supplementing a lot of what they need. For instance, again, around mentorship. And there is a time honored tradition where the elders would pull the young men aside, usually around their teenage years, their early 12 or so. They inculcate and instill them with the teachings and traditions of what the needs of that society to exist. So this is very intentional again, and not just left to chance that somehow boys will figure this out. But we have
Right.
elders, Masharis, who guide the boys each week in our manhood training, and this is every Wednesday from 6 to 8. And on Saturdays, we do our agricultural work and community service and social justice. There is a proverb that reminds us that when a boy is not initiated into the village, he will burn the village down to the ground merely to feel the warmth. And
Hmm.
so when you just leave to chance that somehow they'll figure it out, or the schools will take care of it, or the church will take care of it, this is a process, again, it's time honored for thousands of years of which Africans thrived and build great civilizations and societies. And so we draw on much of that. And while we may think the answers are somewhere out there and it has to be through policy, et cetera, a lot of the answers reside in us. And so we take these, we got 20 young warriors right now, and we trained them up. We again, we focus on those three pillars, but we are certainly athletic enough and very flexible enough to deal with contemporary issues that may coping issues that may need to be addressed during those times. So it is a holistic program. We engage the parents. So it's the parents, the Masharis or the elders, and the young warriors, as we refer to them, all cooperatively and collectively working together to bring these young boys to manhood.
Okay. So I want to do just a little tech. I want you to slide your camera over a little bit because I'm only getting a little part of, there we go. All right,
Okay.
excellent. Good. So you've spoken about who people are in the process. Thank you so much. I see more people popping on. Do me a favor, once again, if you're able to spend time with us for a moment, excellent. If you're not, at least share the video so it shows up on your timeline that you think it's important. We're speaking to Baba Reggie Singleton of the Males Place out of Charlotte, North Carolina, who runs a manhood training and agricultural educational classroom that literally these young brothers are in the field, and I mean literally in the field. How many months of the year?
Well, there are two growing seasons. We grow twice a year. Uh, the the region here allows us to grow a little earlier than what you all do up there, of course. So we typically plant in April, usually around tax day, April 15th through August, and then we install our fall winter garden in August through about December or so. But we not only grow food ourselves, but we also work with other Black farmers to trade and to barter and to ensure that many of the people in
Thank you for
our
sharing the video.
so-called
Hmm.
food desert areas are able to eat clean, healthy, culturally appropriate food throughout the year. And this is important that young men not only grow their food because, Doriel, there may become a time when those who know how to grow may be the only ones who eat. And so as
Right.
we look at many of the pathologies and the the narrative that some have built for us, we believe that Black men have a lot of solutions, and we're one of the most fundamental things is we want to ensure our young men that they know how to feed themselves, they know how to solve some of the most basic problems in our community, but also look to ways in which we could find more renewable energy and more sustainable ways of living. And we want to be able to do this ourselves. We want to be a self-sufficient, a people who rule and control and determine our own faith and our own future. There's a proverb from Thomas and Carol who reminds us that he who feeds you control you. And so when you're able to control the people, then you feed them and you tell them where to live and you educate them. It 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 no longer allows for them to be anything other than a consumer. And we want to move beyond this. We want to exorcise these demons from our people about us not being able to manage our own affairs.
So let me jump in and say that you have some guests that have popped on. Jackie Al Alston says,
Okay.
"Hey, brother, excellent." So, Jackie, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please share this video. So you already know the amazing work that Baba Reggie Singleton is doing in the Charlotte area. Drop a comment about the impact that he's made on either your community or people that you know. We'd love to hear more. And actually, if someone could tag themailsplace.org, themailsplace.org, right? Themailsplace.org. You there? Okay, maybe he's
Yes,
still.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. So
Yes,
themailsplace.org, correct?
that's correct.
Excellent. So if someone would be so kind, I take notes when I'm on live streams, take notes, themailspace.org. So I'm actually going to have you come back on another day when I talk about either wellness or agriculture, because you're touching on so many key topics that cross a lot of political and social and cultural divides, and actually economic divides. The
Right.
fact that you are empowering these young men to produce and not just consume, and also not just to produce, but also to enter into the field of entrepreneurship. And so, can you speak about? I know a couple of weeks ago, and then we'll talk about travel because we have to talk about travel. You talk about how they run a marketplace. So tell about that. Tell about the marketplace. Greetings. Tell about the marketplace that these young males, I thank you so much, Khadijah, that these young males are working on. Oh, so we have somebody who's in Greensboro. Wonderful. Giodora, yes, you're in Greensboro. So please look up this brother, themailsplace.org in Charlotte. Talk about the marketplace, how these young brothers are, planting, tilling, harvesting, selling, and who they're selling to.
Right. Thank you so much. And again, we want our young men to be intelligent farmers, but to be conscious and to be upright people. And so we know that growing
Well,
food
hold on one
intersect.
second. All right, one second. So, Giodora and Khadijah, thank you so much. Both of you know people in agriculture, people who are doing local farming, even right here in Brooklyn. So can you please tag those people? I can't remember the names of the people. Can you tag them and or share it on your page so that they get a whiff of who this brother is? Because this is a black male in Charlotte who's actually, you know, having their own garden and having young males do everything for it and then sell it. So entrepreneurship, agricultural support, that's why I want to be in on this conversation. Thank you very much. I do apologize, Barbara Reggie Singleton. Proceed.
No doubt. Right. As I said, food intersect with so many different things. And as we live in this so-called food desert, and I say so-called because we know that generally food is not isolated. Generally, there are job deserts and there are spiritual deserts and other educational deserts, and really regions that have been exploited. And so we find our need to not only grow the food, but to teach young men the business of selling and to how you present food so that it looks clean and presentable and the cost is fair and equitable for the various communities that we're serving. And so we're doing a service to the people, and we want them and they certainly know all the technical. They can tell you about the water cycle. They can tell you about the various macro nutrients of fertilizers. They can tell you
Wait,
about
and these boys are
composting.
how old?
They're 12 to 18.
Oh my goodness, 12 to
Right.
18-year-olds talking about micros and macros. That's
Well,
amazing. Hold on, turn your camera a little bit.
they, okay. They
There we
study
go.
weather patterns, and so we not only do we instruct them in a hands-on fashion, we do it side by side, where the elders are working side by side with the young warrior. But we also, I'm a certified master gardener as well, but we always looking for ways, new techniques, but also drawing on those older, sustainable, again, ways in which does minimize the use of any chemical synthetics or anything processed or anything like that. So we use organic tech practices, and we've you mentioned our international travel. We do travel regionally to the local land grant colleges and to learn about practices, how we can increase our yield, so how we can be better business people. And so the young people are getting all of this. We've been able to travel to A&T, to Clemson, to this is North Carolina A&T, Aggie
Thank you for
Pride.
us New York people. Thank you.
Yes,
But I know
yes,
about A&T. All right.
right. North Carolina A&T, Clemson. We've been to Maryland Eastern Shore, and of course the legendary Tuskegee University. And we've gone to Ghana, and we've studied at the Kwame Nkrumah
Yes.
University of Science, Technology, and Math. And we've recently traveled to Cuba to learn more about their agricultural practices and the famous Alamar farm. And we've learned about how you could use and produce clean food that doesn't destroy our people or does not destroy the soil or the environment.
So let me jump in there for a moment. Again, shift your camera a little bit. There we go. There we go. Okay, good. You're great. So let me just let you know who showed up. So we have George Ken Smith. Do you know him?
Yeah, Brother George is one of our great wise Masharis and elders.
Oh, wonderful. So Brother George, can you please actually share this video so more people, more of your young brothers, what's the name of the young men? What's the name? What's
They're warriors.
so the young warriors, if their families can sort of pay attention or pop on and give a shout out to Barbara Reggie Singleton and the Nails Place. We also have a sister friend of mine, Bonnie Sandy, Charles Atlas McNaga, your niche. Okay, great. So this is
Yeah,
related to that person.
yes,
Uh,
brother.
I see Bonnie Sandy also who tags Derek Cornwall. So Derek Cornwall, I do hope that you hop on. Brother George says, great job, brother Baba Reggie Singleton. Giadora, who I think is in the Greensboro area, says, wonderful. My godson, who's 11, hopefully you're tag the family member, tell him to hop on, give a phone call. And then Jackie Alston says, brother Reggie Singleton is the real deal. I do appreciate that. Yes. So um, I am really, so let me tell you all how
In
I
fact,
was,
if I could just add this,
yes.
Sister Jackie's Austin's son was in our program, and he is going to be one of our featured guests, one of our featured speaker on October 9th when we do our career exploration. And he is with the Department of Transportation, and he's going to come and share his career with our young warriors.
So excellent. You know, then let me take it back a step. It sounds like and I mean, I know this is a part of it, but it sounds like you are taking these young men from the community in the neighborhood, and you are, again, as I said in my back to school series, you are educating them on more than one level. Now, I've spoken to you about this before, and so it sounds like, and I'm actually a beneficiary of some of your work, or my family is a beneficiary of some of your work. You are actually giving them more outside of the classroom, in the garden, in a field, in a market, at the mail's place, that they, to an extent, should receive in middle, high school, and college or technical schools, that they probably do not. So if
Right.
you, right, if you are teaching them how to be a producer and not a consumer, this is because now I'm thinking of my teacher brain. You're teaching them biology. You're teaching them chemistry. You're teaching them about geography. You're teaching them about the economic, the bull and the bear market, supply and demand. Oh, wait, does Brother Reggie have a website? Yes, thank you very much. It is themailsplace.org, themailsplace.org. Somebody type that in for me, please. Yes. So can you, who in your community, who in the community that you have this organization, who do you partner with, or who in your community says, hey, how do we help you, or how do you receive support from whoever? How do you, oh, and Zane Beyond Words, thank you, Zane Beyond Words, for typing that in for me. Zane.
Zane is an incredible mother in our program.
Oh,
She's an
wonderful.
incredible
Greetings, Zane.
prolific writer. But obviously, there are these schools are, and so we fundamentally provide manhood training. So Black manhood training is our goal, and we're very intentional about that. Not just any manhood, but a Black manhood that teaches them to be again, to be strong, to be intelligent, and to use their gifts and talents and to solve the most basic problems in our community. And so our greatest asset is really the community that we serve. Many of the people, many of our excursions and our international travel and immersions have really come from the likes of the people. And so we sell many of our yield and our produce, our collards and our sweet potatoes, and we do letter writing campaigns. And so and the parents themselves. And I know people are oftentimes quick to ridicule parents, particularly Black mothers, but many of these same mothers and these young people in our community are actually raising much of the revenue themselves. And so there is a skin in the game aspect to our program where people give back, and so I would say we're largely a community supported community, as opposed to maybe more institutionally supported and institutionally led. I'm sure that there are some foundations might see our self-sufficiency as a challenge to them, but we see it as a honor. We see it as in keeping with our tradition, and so we don't hide from that. We certainly do value all of the support we can get, but we would not ask anybody to do something for us that we would not be first willing to do for ourselves.
Excellent. And so I hear a bit of a cultural practice that I know you embed into your programming, and that is the Nguzu Saba. And so self-sufficiency or self-determination, cultural pride, collective work and responsibility. I hear that. I hear that. Greetings. Thank you. I'm seeing more people pop on. I do appreciate this. So, just for those people who are just coming in, this is Baba Reggie Singleton of the Males Place in Charlotte, North Carolina. Sorry about that. Had a little glitch. I do apologize. Can everyone still hear me?
I could hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So yes, Richard Honeywell. So Richard actually, Brother Richard Honeywell was on my, he was interviewed by me a couple of days ago. So yes, I am going to save this on my page for a minute, but it will come down. So those people who want to really watch this and get in touch with the brother, glean from this information, please watch within the like next 48 hours, 72 hours, and it's going to come down. So, um, so let's chat about of course, the cultural piece. There is a historical aspect. There is a deep historical aspect and historical competency that is being included into your programming. And so, even the fact that you are regarded as Baba Reggie Singleton, the fact that you are having your the other brothers who work with you, they have titles. You give the titles to your young men. The community is identified by a title that is not English, let's say. Why is that important in developing these young Black men? Why is that important? Why do we even need to do that?
Well, I grew up in a very loving, supportive community out in the Sea Islands of Charleston. And so I was always
Wait,
taught
Charleston, South Carolina?
Charleston, South Carolina, where most of us came through one
Okay.
way or another. But anyway, so I always had a sense of belonging, and but it is it's so essential though that people have a sense of who they are, and so it is just so essential that that knowledge of self be the basis of it, and to counteract so many of the uh, negative images that are inundated with, and it's almost like we see the black male ego or the black male uh, as a logo in some respect, as violent and purveyors of violence and purveyors of irresponsibility. And so we really go to great length to change the optics and the narratives. And we believe in, if it is to be changed, it has to be done through us. And I don't see anybody else being able to do that except Black men with the support of strong Black women.
Excellent. So you've
I'm
taken, and
sorry. I'm
yes,
sorry. 1 second. You had asked me another question too, and I was I
sorry,
forgot about it. So please ask me the second part again.
I forgot what it was. What about the cultural impact or the terminology? Because I think next we're going to talk about the travel piece.
Okay. Okay. Well, oh, the names and the titles are
Oh,
important
okay.
because what I meant to add was that we have to remember that two of our most basic institutions were destroyed with the enslavement of our people. It was of course, the family and the village. And so, in our efforts to resurrect and reclaim the greatness, we must find those words and those titles that gives value, as opposed to the words that we're all too familiar with that devalues us. And so, it is not only title
Turn
though
your
with
camera.
our program, but it is also responsibility that goes along with it. And Mashari Ken answered earlier, and he's an awesome, strong Black man, good husband and father who, along with the other Misharis, help to guide our young warriors on a day-to-day basis. And so we're very consistent. In fact, our greatest adjective that people oftentimes provide to us is that we are very, very dependable and consistent.
Excellent. Let me welcome Nikki Boyd or Nikki Boyd. She says,
Nikki Boy. Yes.
Nikki, thank you. Sorry, Nikki Boyd. And she says, Happy New Day. Nikki Boyd is a board member of the Males Place. Thank you so much, Nikki Boyd, for popping on. We do hope that you share the broadcast, let the other board members know that Bobby Reggie Singleton has decided this is his This is his maiden voyage onto the digital space of being interviewed on Facebook Live, and we do appreciate it. So I'm up here in New York, in Brooklyn, New York, but I heard and I heard and got wind that I needed to chat with this brother about his work, about his advocacy and rearing and empowerment of young Black males in the community. And so let's talk about the work that you have done, not just here on these great states, but where you have taken these young men and why. Where you've gone, why? How'd you get there?
Generally through, we do it the hard way. We sell produce, we do letter writing campaigns, and there are people there's some churches that have gotten behind us, but for the most part, it is the hardworking parents, board members, and supporters of our organization who, like myself, greatly values and really get it, and that they understand the need for our children, just like anybody else who might be privileged and feel some sense of entitlement, that these kids' views and need to be broadened as well. They need to be able to see beyond Charlotte and beyond New York City and in the slums that some of us may be experiencing. And so when they're able to go around the world, and to some degree, they may better appreciate where they live. They develop better relationships with their families. School grades become better. There's less truancy, delinquency, or reduction in any type of delinquencies or anything like that. So international travel is very important, and particularly for many of the young people that we work with. I say that many of them are very typical young people. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of Barack Obamas who are going to go to Yale and Harvard, but even with those heavy degrees, if they are not a self-sufficient person who understands that or how to grow their food, or to be uh, you know to be able to be personally responsible to meet some of their needs, even the most glamorous degrees and jobs and vehicles and homes they may live in, at some point again, those who know how to grow may be the only one who eat. So they may come a
Mm,
time, who knows, that we prepare these young men to meet whatever challenge may come their way.
excellent, excellent. So I know that you've taken them to Ghana. I know you've
Yeah.
taken them to Cuba. Are there other countries outside of the US that you have taken your young men?
We went to Ghana twice actually, and
Okay.
we've been to Belgium and Cuba, and we've traveled regionally. And I think the regional trips are equally important. In many cases, they help set up and prepare us for the international trips. For instance, we're looking at Senegal and the Gambia as a trip for December 2020. And before we do that, we'll watch the whole series on Roots, and we will visit the home of Alex Haley, who was a descendant of Kuta Kinte. And Kuta Kinte was in a village called Jufere, which is inside of the Gambia, and which is very, very near near Senegal. And so um, we do regional as well as local trips as well, because there are many local things that are going in Charlotte, and we want them to better appreciate the broader world, but also to appreciate where they live, and to understand the history and civics of their local cities and towns as well. The history is so crucial no matter where they go. And all of our trips, though, I mean, it's not a vacation. It's all business. It's a business trip, and because we want to see not only world history, but also where they fit in world history. Where is the Black experience, the African experience? What were we doing before 1619? And that's so
Right.
crucial. Yes, so we are very intentional about where we go, and we always have there are some downtimes in it, but the lectures, the visiting of the museums, the visiting of the place of worship, and we also always engage the local community, and we go beyond the just the tours. And I'll give you one
The
example
tours,
again.
right?
Alamar, which is where we visited in Cuba, and this is a very self-sufficient farm. There was no sign or very little sign of mechanizations. Where there were oxes and cows and horses that was pulling the plows, and they had this huge worm farm, and composting was huge. And so this is a great way to, again, to address renewable energy and to address sustainability, and but also to ensure that the people are not consuming foods that we know that are needlessly killing them. And so it's important that we grow our food and consume food that's free of poisons and chemicals and toxins that we know that are being produced because it's profitable and readily
So
available.
So let me jump back into that. And thank you very much. There are some new people popping on who are actually from the Charlotte area, and I do appreciate it. So once again, this is Baba Reggie Singleton, who is from Charlotte, North Carolina, and runs the Mail's Place, which is right on Beatty's Ford Road. Correct? Am I saying it right?
It's called Beatty's Ford, Beatty's,
Beatty, sorry.
Beatty's Ford.
Beatty's Ford Road.
But we're
And
gonna we're gonna have that
yes,
name changed to the Mail's Place Boulevard at some point, though.
let's speak that into existence. I
That's,
appreciate that.
that's right.
And if I have to, I will make an official trip down there in order to see this unveiling because your organization has made such an impact in the community, in the lives of these young males, in the families that support them. Because the ripple effect is so amazing. The ripple effect is so amazing. You are growing a community of teenage boys, men in the making, but currently they're boys who can take, I won't say arid because you have definitely have fertile soil, but who can take soil and while their other classmates or peers or what have you are gaming, if you will, they can say, well, guess what? If y'all want to eat, let me tell you how to do that. Give me that rake or give me that backhoe, what have you. Let's get some stuff growing. Whereas again, their peers are running around, and I'm not just saying their specific peers, but I'm thinking about teenagers that I see on the regular basis, who again, they're consumers. And if you say, well, do you know where that salad, or that green, those greens or those cucumbers that you may or may not eat, or that's in your hamburger or on your Chipotle or what have you. Do you know where that comes from? Do you know how long it takes to grow? Do you know why it costs that amount? Do you know what kind of not bacteria, but pesticides are on it? Do you know why organic food costs more than foods that are uh, raised with pesticides? Do you know what GMO means? Do you know what irradiated or what's the other? I'm trying to think of the other designation. Um, don't worry about it. But do you know what these terms mean? And most teenagers are like, who cares? But in the
Right.
longevity of people, and when someone says, well, how come there's so much cancer going on? How come there's so much colon cancer? I'm not just talking about certain types of cancers, but things that have to do with the gut, or that has to do with digestion, or that has to do with overweight or diabetes or high blood pressure. Some of these young boys can actually speak to that.
Right. Well, and that's why we're addressing greater issues around sovereignty more so
Thank you,
than
Sister
just
Deborah. He is doing great work. Sorry. Go
right.
ahead.
That's why we address issues around sovereignty, which is a people, which is us deciding again where our food's going to come from and what practices we're going to use. But again, who benefits from it? And we had I'm sure this was a national thing. I understand one of the chicken places. I won't
Right.
even honor them by calling their names. But
Sorry.
with extensive lines, I had a board meeting one day, and well, we must have been backed up for about a mile because people were finding their way over to get these chicken sandwiches. with no regard for the sourcing,
Right.
the growing practices or anything like that. But so it just speaks to, even with the good quality food, there is still a significant amount of education that's required for our people, because when even if we say the system is broken, the food system is broken, this is a system that is intentionally broken. So it's doing what it was intended to do, which is to feed us and then to keep us dependent upon this larger system that profits off of our suffering and ignorance.
Right. Now, so now let me jump in here and let's just talk food for a minute. And then we please, if there's anybody on here that has any questions or comments, please drop them in. Again, this is Baba Reggie Singleton from the Mail's Place in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you very much, Sister Deborah Glass-Garner, who's saying he's doing great work in Charlotte. We do appreciate this. Emma Allen says, love this. I do appreciate you very much. Make sure you share the video. If you share it on your page, that means it pops up onto your feed. So anybody who then comes to your page sees, oh, who's this person? And then type in themailsplace.org, themailsplace.org, and then more people can have their eyes on this amazing brother who's doing this work for our young Black males. So if you know of other people who are doing great work with young Black males in your community, fine. Let's shout them out. Let's herald them and lift them up, because they are educators outside of the classroom. He is a brother who's educating outside of the classroom. I teach inside the classroom, but this work here that happens outside of the classroom is just as important, if not more important, because he's filling a gap. He's filling a gap. He's filling a need. He's serving a purpose. He's answering questions for people who are constantly saying, what are my children going to do? There's nothing around. It's more than basketball. It's more than football. Because once that person gets hurt on that field, but the skills and the abilities that he is developing and empowering these young men in the making with, they will be able to take these skills for decades and decades and decades. And as long as it's in their mind and in their hands, they can continue to feed a people. So whether or not they go work for these quote unquote fast food places, hopefully they can bring some more education to the people about, okay, let's just talk about where this gets sourced. Because if you can stand okay, I'm about to go on a rant, but if you can stand on a line for hours to get a little chicken sandwich, but then you don't ask questions about how come that chicken nugget that sat in your car for over a year still looks and feels and tastes like the chicken nugget that you bought a year ago, and you don't ask questions about that, that's a problem. I'm just saying. Right. So let's end on this. I know that your harvest time looks different from the harvest time that let's say that I know about in New York, because we've spoken about this. So there are times that you send me information, or I ask how things are going, and you share that, okay, well, all Saturday you guys are in the market. And you've actually sent me information about, hey, do you want to buy like a box of collard greens? And I'm thinking, well, I can't buy a box of collard greens. Like, you gonna ship it up to New York?
We'll ship it out there to you.
You gonna ship me some greens? Okay, that's very cool. So, but there are people, of course, that are in the local area who, and this is what really warms my heart. And I really am gonna have to like make a trip down there just to see this in person. I go to farmers markets. I belong to an organic food co-op, but to see teenage Black males,
yes,
selling these collard greens, a cultural food, and know that they planted those seeds a couple of months before, and to see the pictures and the videos of them pulling out the weeds and raking, or whatever the terminology is, and then also seeing the pictures of them harvesting these greens, whether or not their parents or their grandparents may have taught them how to till the soil, but you did. I don't care how much the greens are. I want to buy some. But and the fact that they can tell me, so we use this type of fertilizer, or right, we have to do it at this particular time of the year because the rainy season comes here, or it's like it's dry season here, so we have to. to hear a young black male speak about that and speak like that, child, it could be $20 for five
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, what how much is it? It's fine. I just want to hear the story. I want to hear it come out of the mouth of a young black male. That's what's
Yes.
going to like make me fall on the floor.
Okay.
So how can we hear that? Because and I already know the answer because you've been celebrated digitally in certain spaces. So where can we find more information about your place that's already on the internet streets?
Well, the Blessing of the Harvest that we'll be doing on October 19th, we'll be highlighting those young men again. Not only will we be leading a garden tour for those that are there, they will be leading the garden tour. They will be laying out the names of the various produce, in addition to sharing with them their companion growing system, which is why you plant one crop next to another. Um,
I love
why you plant a marigold next to a tomato? I mean, it has not only does it add great beauty to it, but it does produce, certain odors that insects doesn't like, and so it minimizes your need to have to do chemicals. You plant
Oh, I'm a
crops
city
next
girl. I'm
together.
sorry, I don't know that. Thank you very much.
Well, well, these are intelligent farmers that we deal with, and we're growing, and we're always looking for ways to where plants have significant air and daylight and able to produce larger quantities and larger yields without again using any of the synthetic methods. And so we want to be able to meet the needs of our people, and we believe that our best days are ahead of us. And we're a very optimistic organization. We got great plans to to not punch below our weight anymore. We're gonna fight real hard to solve many of these persistent problems that impact our community and people.
This is amazing. Okay, so October, what date did you say?
October 19th, and we'll be on Facebook Live. In fact, Nikki Boyd, who's one of our board members,
And
wonderful
she's still
sister,
here.
she's our marketing genius, and so she'll be Facebooking living us, and she'll be bringing this wonderful demonstration of Black manhood and Ujima, collective work and
Work and
responsibility. She'll be
responsibility. Excellent. So I'm going to read one or two more
excellent. So I'm
comments.
gonna.
Oh, we have a little delay.
Okay.
Okay. So we have Ifikan Shango Simon says to visit the male's place and you'll be encouraged. He's committed to the youth. Emma Allen says it's amazing on every level. Jackie Alston says the produce is delicious. Zane Beyond Words says, oh, replying to Giadora, this is an exemplary, efficiently run organization that provides an opportunity for our sons, as the word like sun in the sky, I love it, to develop into spiritually, mentally, and physically healthy men. They nurture our sons in ways that they may never experience in public school systems that are not designed to holistically develop them. And thank you very much. So this is incredible. So someone just popped on. Oh, Letisa Brown just tuned in and she says hello.
It's my niece.
Greetings, welcome, welcome. We are interviewing your uncle, Baba Reggie Singleton of the Mail's Place in Charlotte, North Carolina, themalesplace.org, themalesplace.org, themalesplace.org. I'm welcoming also one of my classmates from college. Hey, Donna, good to see you. So last but not least, we want to make sure that as many people that can and will and should know more about you. And so I've been saying it all throughout the broadcast, themalesplace.org, Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, even though he's doing this work here, this work is probably or possibly being done elsewhere. And so if you know of anybody, once again, as I said at the top of the broadcast, who is into empowering young males, doing any youth work, doing any community service work, wants to add a level of, I'll call it support. I was about to say intervention because I'm trained that way, but it's really not intervention. It is support and empowerment. It's added on. It's not support. It's not corrective. It's proactive. It's not reactive. And that's what I really,
Perspective.
really love. Right. It's proactive. It's not reactive. to support young people, and especially those who, to some degree, in some situations, are considered disenfranchised. Now, this is not, and this I know, this is not like, oh, okay, well, we're going to reach out, and I'm about to go into another rant, I'm sorry, to reach out and like correct a malady or correct a situation. No, we're starting from the ground up. Oh, literally and figuratively. I like that. I just flew out of my head. We're starting from the ground up, and we are growing and nurturing young, specifically young males, perhaps even restorative. Zane, I hear that, and let me say, if it didn't sound clear before, that this is a safe space to have tough conversations. If we were to use the term, so Baba Reggie, Zane said, and this is replying to Giadora, perhaps even restorative. When I think of the word restorative, I think that something has already fallen down and we're trying to build it back up. The fact that Baba Reggie Singleton is using terms that start out from the gate as being empowering, that's why I try to use the word empowering or supportive. I want to do the best that I can, and I don't know if this is Baba's focus, but I want to do the best that I can to always infuse terms that start out where these young Black males know that they are on top, because